Hey friends, this is Lynn Mills, editor of the Gospel Music Roadshow, and today I have Mark Trammell with the Mark Trammell Quartet with us, and we're going to talk about two songs that you have written. One is "He's My Lord," and the other is "What Will You Do for Jesus?" And this
Okay.
appears as a medley on your classic CD.
Yeah.
So let's go back and tell me about when you wrote them and why.
Okay. Um, he's my Lord. Uh, that happened during the time that back in the 80s, mid 80s, when a lot of what we now call praise and worship choruses were beginning to be written. And we were actually, the Cathedral Quartet was in Topeka, Kansas. And when we came out from the concert, it had was still snowing, and a snowstorm had set in. And we literally, um, when we loaded the bus, it was about 6 inches of snow already on the ground. It was snowing that hard. You couldn't hardly see from the door of the church to the bus. You couldn't hardly see the bus.
Yeah.
So um, we left that night in very treacherous conditions. And of course, out there, they do a pretty good job of taking care of the roads. But we stopped at a truck stop just outside of town. We were on our way to El Dorado, Arkansas for a Sunday afternoon. And we had sung in Topeka on Saturday night. We were supposed to be in El Dorado, Arkansas on Sunday afternoon. And we made it. And I still don't know how we did, but we did, just barely in time. After we left that truck stop that night, though, we had been up for some time. We had been up to go to sleep because we were just creeping along. It's like, okay, what's happening? What are we doing? Why are we out here? We stopped again at another truck stop in a little while, simply to get out and clean the windshield off because of all the ice that had caked up on the windows. The defroster would not get rid of. We had been back in the bus after getting a few supplies, going in. Glenn went in and made a call about we're trying to get there. Don't know if we will. Harold Grimmett, our promoter, there. He gets back in the bus and off we go. Our bus driver has been up, Bud Seeker. Our bus driver has been up for some time. We had been up. George Brawl's under the wheel. We had been up. We get back out to the interstate, and the state police are getting ready to put the gates across the roads. They're going to close the roads on us. We had been up. George stops, pulls the window back, talks to the trooper, tells the trooper what's going on. Tells the trooper, hey, we're from Ohio. We got a pretty good idea how to travel in this stuff. The trooper said, okay, I'll let you go. We had been up. I'm not coming after you. We had been up. So we start easing on, and within just a little while, we are literally pushing snow with the front bumper of that bus.
Really?
But we're still going. We're still moving.
Wow.
We had been a snowstorm that night. For whatever reason, the Lord used that in my life to see just how sufficient He is. And it just started coming into my mind. George is up there driving. It hits me, and I write it within 2 minutes. Just scribble it down. And Danny and Roger are still awake. They're in the back of the bus. So I go back there. I tell them, hey, I've written this. You sing this part. And I sang the melody to Danny. I said, you sing this, and Roger and I are going to sing her. So I just handed the words to him. And Roger started singing the third part. We had been like I wanted it in my mind. The melody and the harmony parts. And I said, let's go sing it to Yance. He ain't done nothing. So we'll have a captive audience. They laughed about it. Say, okay, let's go. So we walked up in front of the bus and we gathered around in the stairwell of that bus and we sang He's My Lord for the first time to George. And George is sitting there driving and I looked down, I called him Pop. Pop, you okay? He's sitting there driving and tears rolling down his face. We had been up. Did y'all hear that? We had been up. The Lord gave it to me about an hour ago. We had been up. Recorded that. So we did on the Traveling Live album. And people use it all over the country. Did then. Every time we go into a new venue somewhere, there'd be somebody walk up to me and say, hey, my choir sings He's My Lord as an invitation. Thank you. You never know what's going to happen with us. Never know. Okay. We had been up for Jesus. We had been happened to me when I heard, and my dad, pastored 51 years, I heard him make the statement, what will you do with Jesus? We had been. What will you do with who he is? What will you do with the finished work at Calvary? In your mind, what's your decision going to be? Are you going to trust Jesus as Savior? Are you going to turn completely against him along the way? Which one's it going to be? So the question is raised, what you going to do with Jesus? I'd heard that so long, and I'd seen, being a preacher's kid, I had seen so many people do what I called various things with Jesus. They would make him what they needed for him to be. We had been up so much to the point that it was frustrating to me as a preacher's kid that knew just enough about the Bible to know that there's only two things you do with Jesus. You either accept him or you reject him. That's all these other things, that ain't going to get it because it's not scriptural. We had been up. We had been my mind and my heart. We had been up. We were recording tracks. We had been up. We had been up. Cathedral Project. We had been up. I was at the home of Larry and Carolyn Goss. Larry Goss, one of the greatest producers ever in our music, and a dear friend to myself and my family. Jonathan and Nick played together as kids. Larry and I used to see which one could buy the other child the noisiest, most irritating toy. I mean, that's just the kind of relationship we had. I was in his basement playing his keyboard, spending the night before we did tracks the next day. And this song came to me. And again, just another chorus. That for whatever reason, the Lord has challenged me a lot of times to just write things that are very simple, very to the point, makes you ask yourself questions, or it confirms things in your mind as to who he is. This one was going to ask the question, what will you do for Jesus? Because he's done so much for you. He gave his life a ransom for sin. What will you do for him? Instead of what will you do with Jesus? Oh. We had been up. You better have already made that decision. So now he's your Savior. What are you going to do for him? And that's how the songs, both of those songs came about. That's the story behind both of them. And it's interesting how we had been morning when Larry gets up, he said, what were you playing last night? We had been up. Just the little ditty that I wrote. Mm-hmm. He said, yeah, play it for me. I said, I'm not playing piano in front of you. We had been up. Well, I think I kind of know how it went, so you just help me. I said, okay, that's fine, but I'm not playing it in front of you. So he started playing, and I sang it to him. And then he started doing what only Larry could do. He made harmonies that I hadn't even thought about. Oh. And while the harmonies are not the easiest thing in the world, beautiful. And it made the song what it was. And when we decided to do the medley on it, we had been up. I was run out of. We had been up. My Lord, there is no other word. What will you do for Jesus? We had made the decision about what we would do with Jesus. He's my Lord.
Oh.
Now, what will you do for him? Lord and Master, Savior, friend, Redeemer. But he's got a job for you. If you're still breathing, he's got a job for you. So what will you do for him? That's a good question, and we all need to answer. We had been
Wow, what a pairing and what a gift that the Lord gave you those songs.
Mhm.
Kind of like the same way each time, and just whoever would have thought that a classic they would come together and paired so beautifully. Or we love that arrangement. Well, thank you for taking time, Mark, sharing with us today. And be sure to stop by next week for our next episode.